Hello, Amber here. We're going to do a clue recap from last Thursday's Mystery Grape and Blind Tasting Benchmark region. We'll announce, we don't have the exact time, but tomorrow Noelle and I are working on scheduling to do an IG Live to talk about some of the exam wines that were just released yesterday from the D3 Wines of the World exam, D4 Sparkling, and D5 Fortified. So stay tuned for that. We'll do a little announcement with that. But Thursday's Mystery Grape was Syrah from Crozes-Hermitage in the Northern Rhone. So let's talk about some of the clues there and kind of like how you kind of can get a little bit to the Crozes-Hermitage from there. So clue review. Clue number 1, red and black plums. Had fresh examples with that. The photo also had some yellow plums there, which can kind of work a little bit. I mean, I said in the very first clue that this is a large region, so you can have a little bit of variability. But I really wanted you to focus on the red and black plums there. That was in that bottom picture. Clue 2, blackberries. Clue 3, boysenberries and marionberries. So with those first 3 clues, we've got kind of a range. We've got red fruit, we've got a little bit of dark fruit, not necessarily blue fruit, but kind of that range, red and dark. With 3 fruit clues up front, I know a lot of people went New World with that, which is not horrible. But this is a wine, when you think of Crozes-Hermitage and how you have everything from your, around $10 value bottle on up to $30, $35 nicer bottles, there could be a range, because those ones that are more value oriented are definitely going to be more on the fruit forward side to appeal to the cafe, wine by the glass. Clue 4, violets, so a little bit of a floral element popping up. Clue 5, green olives. And whenever you see anything green, for the most part, you kind of want to steer away a little bit from some of the New World stuff, which wants to be more fruit forward. There are big exceptions. We talked about in an IG story a few weeks ago about chili. Chili often has green notes, but green olives, not too often that pops up in a lot of New World wines. That's one thing that kind of steers you a little bit more towards the savory appeal of a lot of Old World wines. And then clue 6, which was the one that tipped off a lot of folks to Syrah, black pepper on that. I always kind of give those more stronger giveaway clues with that clue 6, because I know a lot of folks are just honing in on the structure clues and reading the text and not necessarily looking at the picture behind. So black pepper, big one there. So when you're thinking Syrah, now you're starting to think about kind of the region. This is where a lot of the structure clues and then the context clues will come from. But right off the bat, if you're starting thinking like Cote Rotie and Hermitage, not seeing more of this, or even Cornas, not seeing more of the kind of the smoky, meaty, bacon fat, some of those notes pop up might give you a little bit of doubt about some of those very, very savory, very, very pronounced regions. But then again, let's get here to the structure clues. For color, I put deep ruby. That is because I went with the WSET diploma text. I know a lot of people expect purple in Syrah, which is very true. It can pop out. On Guildsom, on their blind tasting guide, that's one of the things that they note is that there could be a little bit of a purple hue to it. I can see the logic with WSET kind of going more with the deep ruby, because I tend to see myself more purple in New World Syrahs. And if on an exam you can't go deep ruby with a little hint of purple, you actually have to commit one or the other. So for the most part, deep ruby for that Old World Syrah, maybe more that medium to deep purple for New World. Something to think about. Medium to medium plus intensity. So this is another one that would give you a little bit of doubt about Cote Rotie and Hermitage, and that the scale doesn't go all the way up to pronounce. For those really fantastic, top tier Northern Rhone Syrahs, you expect them to have more of that pronounced intensity on it. You could also expect too in the New World, like some of the Barossa, Old Vine, Shiraz, some more pronounced intensity. So the fact that this is just medium to medium plus would have you thinking more of those kind of mid-tier Northern Rhone AOCs. Then dry as well. And then medium to high acid. This might give you a little bit of doubt about some of the New World regions that with high acid, Syrah certainly can get up there to high acid, but Syrah kind of likes to be in that more medium plus range. Medium to high chalky tannins. So this is one, we're thinking again some structure here, but it can also be a little bit soft. There's a variability. You're seeing this range, medium to high acid, medium to high tannin. So a large area can be kind of variable. The chalky tannins, one of the things to note from Nick Jackson's book, Beyond Flavor, which I talk about a lot, really a good game changer for me. Nick Jackson notes often you feel these tannins on your tongue, kind of like a knot on your tongue. And that really hit for me when it comes to Syrah. Not just old world Rhone Syrahs, but also in the new world as well. There is this kind of essence on your tongue, this like chalkiness that kind of leaves behind from a Syrah. So it's something good to look out for when you're tasting. Medium to medium plus body. This is something that might give you a little bit of doubt about thinking about like a new world Aussie Shiraz, which might be more full body. Medium to high alcohol. And then here's the big ones, the context clues. Now, obviously, when you're doing a blind tasting, you're not having clues that scream out, price range or quality range. You have to decide the quality as part of your exam. But this is something to really help you kind of hone in, like you're picturing a wine shop and the wine's top shelf all the way down to the bottom shelf. Where would this wine kind of fall? You kind of get that sense as you're tasting the wine with the complexity and how pronounced the intensity is, the different layers that it has. So with this one, I kind of give you, for these games, I give you these answers to help you hone in more easily on the grape in the region. And I said good to very good, medium price to premium price. So not seeing super premium as a price point should have really had you doubt Hermitage and Cote Rotie, because those are regions that are definitely going to be super premium, your top shelf. Smaller regions, lower yields, a lot more goes into the winemaking when it comes to aging on it and sorting. So you expect them to be more that high price. You will not ever find a mid-range, medium price Hermitage or Cote Rotie. If you do find it and it's decent, DM me, because I'd like to taste it myself and buy a case or two of it. Now, when you get to a lot of these clues, you might get yourself to the Rhone, and then which region in the Rhone. I gave you some reasons to doubt Cote Rotie and Hermitage, but like Saint Joseph could be an option. Cornas potentially could be an option. That was where I used the context clues 7 through 10, to kind of help you hone in, more theory to hone in on what is the exact region. First batch of clues is always more about kind of the tasting, the structure, and the flavor clues, but theory is really where you're going to kind of score. And with that, I started out with clues 7 and 8, talking about the different sectors of our benchmark region. A northern sector that has a little cooler, more wind influence, more alpine influence, granite and loess soils. Whenever you see loess, Loess, that is a wind-blown soil. So you want to think of a region that's got wind. And you're in the Rhone, you definitely got wind. You got the Mistral. Then I talk about the flatter southern sector, which, does have some granite still, but also has a little bit more clay. There's actually a white canalin clay that is common in this area. But this sector's a little bit more temperate, a little bit more sheltered from the wind, so a little warmer. It's also flatter, so you can do more mechanical harvesting versus the steeper slopes of the northern. And so a way to kind of help visualize that, I'm going to give you some Wine Geek map envy here. If you're not familiar, this producer of maps, Benoit France, I was able to get these on Amazon in the US, and then here in Europe, I'm able to get more of them ordering direct. These are fantastic wine maps. Oh my God. You can't really see as much the glare there. I apologize, but different regions of the Rhone, different regions of Burgundy, the individual AOCs in the Medoc, the Loire, just so many geeky goodness. But this is the Crozes-Hermitage and Hermitage map here. And so we talk about this northern and southern sector. Let's see if I can kind of make it a little bit more visible. And obviously the map's going to be inverse. You see here how close to the river this northern sector is. The Mistral kind of follows the river, so that you definitely get that brunt of wind impact. And nice steep slopes, because on the opposite side, when you go a little bit more north there, you got Cote Rotie, the steep slopes there, steep slopes Condrieu, close to the river, so that makes sense. Then you got the little bit of the hill of Hermitage here, and then this vast southern sector, which kind of sprawls out. It's away from the river a little bit more, so less of that direct Mistral impact, so you can see why it'd be a little bit more temperate, a little bit more warmer there. On the other side of the river, Saint Joseph, it's kind of interesting because in the Cote Rotie, generally the better quality wine comes from the steeper northern slopes on it, while the more value wine often comes from the southern. And obviously there's individual producers that have good plots in both areas. Saint Joseph is kind of the opposite. The heart of Saint Joseph, the original part of kind of the top villages, are just across the river from Hermitage there. Kind of the classic 6 villages there. And then it expanded northward. And there's some good wine, obviously, that can be made in the north in Saint Joseph, but a lot of the best wine in Saint Joseph comes from those villages there in the south. So just something to just kind of file on the back of the brain. And so that was a little bit one context clues, because they don't really talk about Saint Joseph north and south as much as they do with Crozes-Hermitage, because it's such a large area, so they want to try to distinguish it a little bit more. So remembering the different soils and different climate influences of the area that's north of the hill of Hermitage and the area south can kind of help a little bit with that. The other context clues that I talked about was kind of how large the region is. 1,700 hectares planted. It was expanded in the 1950s, so big area. That's why you have that variability of quality and variability of structure. In my post that I did congratulating the folks that guessed it, I named a couple of top producers there, and there's also a lot of good value producers. But some of those top producers, like the Guigal, the Domaine de Thalabert, those are producers that can reach almost Hermitage quality levels. And then you'll get, again, around a $10 bottle that's like a Cote Rotie. So you have to keep that in the back of your mind that quality level will vary because this is such a large AOC. But because it's a large AOC, and you can blend obviously within it, that does help keep the price point down to just that mid to premium range. While you put into context, and you don't have to memorize these numbers, but just think about the context. Crozes-Hermitage, 1,700 hectares. Hermitage, that hill, that one singular hill, 137 hectares with that. So less than a tenth in size. Cote Rotie, 250 hectares. And Cornas, a lot of people don't realize how small Cornas actually is. 145 hectares planted versus 1,700 in Crozes-Hermitage. So that really kind of gives you an idea of why the price points and the size. Yes, size matters, without a doubt. Then finally, clue 10. This is the one that if you weren't thinking Syrah, you weren't thinking the Rhone, I always hope for clue 10 to be the one that really helps you jump to the right area. And so clue 10, I noted that it could be co-fermented with Marsanne and Roussanne up to 15%. So if you were thinking Northern Rhone, that should have eliminated Cote Rotie, which is Viognier, not Marsanne, Roussanne. Also should have eliminated Cornas, which is not co-fermented with anything, it's just 100% Syrah. Then you kind of had to decide between Hermitage and Saint Joseph. I hope the context clues of the size and the pricing helped eliminate Hermitage, which is also up to 15% Marsanne Roussanne. And then it was almost a coin flip between Saint Joseph and Crozes-Hermitage. A lot of folks guessed Saint Joseph, which is perfectly fine. A few people were super geeky and did use that clue 10, though, to eliminate Saint Joseph, because while in Hermitage and Crozes-Hermitage, it's 15% that you're allowed to co-ferment, in Saint Joseph, it's only 10%. So that's really, really geeky trivia. So I have to give an extra clap to a few of the folks that were able to hone in on that geekiness. So that is it for the recap. Noelle and I are working on doing a couple other more IG Lives. We'll do one tomorrow, hone in on the exact time, as I said, to talk about the exam wines. So look for that announcement there. And have a good day.